you know what's amazing, Darcy? I'm sitting here, I'm in my kitchen. I'm looking out towards the backyard and it's dark out. Something pretty cool happened. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, that is a large black staff with a piece of art that I've made hanging off at a big wheel. Okay, it's covered in those little fairy lights.
Yeah.
Okay, when you were talking to me about a signal communication, somebody would say something to me as you were talking. This is astounding, Darcy. As you were talking, this has never happened before, and I swear it. The lights on that object flashed off and on and off and on and off and on 3 times. It doesn't do it now. It's never done it before. They don't flash. They're solid lights.
Yeah.
So what happened there? That's freaky.
Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the slow burn storytelling podcast where our host, Nicola, challenges her psychic friend Darcy to communicate with the dead and unravel historical ghost stories, unsolved true crime mysteries, and all things paranormal. If you want to be spooked, amazed, and entertained, stick around for an astonishing, deep dive convo with the spirits on the other side. Radio Sydney presents Seeing Dead People, episode 43, Cursed by the Bell Witch.
Well, hello, Darcy. How are you this evening?
I'm fine. How are you, Nicola?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to ask you up front, have you any tinglings about what we might talk about today?
Nope, I haven't tuned in yet. I'm going to say we're either in Canada or US. I don't think we're overseas this time round.
Okay, well, I will let you know that detail in a bit. I'll start us off by saying we're going to tackle today, Darcy, something very old, very strange events, in fact, involving an evil entity, the terrifying likes of which we've yet to face.
No, maybe not you.
Well, yes, I should say that. I should clarify that. Yes, we had seen dead people have yet to face. You personally, that's another question. Me, definitely not faced. Okay?
Okay.
It's the stuff of ancient lore, of bizarre rumors, of layer upon layer of colorful embellishments over the decades. As you thought, we are heading south and east down into the United States, to the great state of Tennessee. Ringing any psychic bells?
Well, that area would make me think voodoo, witchcraft. I saw that, that moss, that green moss on a tree.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you may recall that Nashville is the state capital of Tennessee, but I think most people would go to Memphis to see Elvis's Graceland. But we're going to have a look at photo number 1 and get a sense of our geographical location. It's a Google screenshot, Darcy, of the eastern United States with the state of Tennessee pretty well snap dab in the middle, and it's outlined as TN. Now, can you see the word Adams in the middle there?
Yes.
Circled it. Okay. And below it says TN. So that is the state of Tennessee, directly south of Detroit, Chicago, Toronto, in sort of the heart of the eastern part of the middle of the United States. Now, I admit I've not paid much attention to Tennessee or its location within the continental United States in my life. I now discover that it's like the hub of a wheel. It's surrounded by spokes abutting 12 other states. Yikes. I can just imagine the possible jurisdictional border issues that state has. Fortunately, that's not our issue today. It's a beautiful rolling state known for its famous son, Davy Crockett, country music, the Grand Ole Opry, and its famous daughter, Dolly Parton. Also for Jack Daniel's whiskey and moon pies, which are a sweet, s'mores-like treat, which I've now decided I want to taste. Have you ever heard of a moon pie?
Just the ones that you can buy that have the wafer on the outside with the chocolate on the center?
Yeah, I think these are a little more sophisticated than that, but I don't know. But I'm gonna have to look into it now. So let's dive in a little closer to our location, Darcy, and look at photo number 2.
Okay.
Again, we're a map. Adams is now circled. You can see sort of where we are in Tennessee. Nashville's down south. Sometimes you can get an amazing sense from this boring, flat green maps. Just wondering if you get any tinglings from looking at this map today.
Well, I'm going to say maybe a country setting, obviously. You know, I don't know if there's a church here involved or maybe ministers involved in it, but that's what I'm picking up right now.
Okay. Well, not only are we heading deep down into the U.S., Darcy, we're venturing into the deep past, into the mysterious world of American folklore, specifically American legendary creatures. Ooh, exactly. Ooh, anything come to mind there?
You mean like the Black Lagoon? We're talking.
Not quite, but you're on there. Yeah, it's a similar idea, that's for sure.
Okay, are we talking like crocodiles, that type of thing?
No.
Oh.
No, we're not. Legendary. Yeah. We're in the year 1817, so 200 plus years ago. And I'm a little worried, of course, because there are no photographs from that time, but I have a few woodcuts and sketches. And then, as usual, this is going to be a real test of your abilities because, you know, can you glean anything from my words and these few black and white pics?
We talking witches?
Very close. Very close. Yes.
Okay,
so in 1817, the town of Adams has only around 600 souls living there. And our main players are the Bell family. These include the family head and prosperous farmer, John, his wife, Lucy, their sons, John Jr. and Drew, daughter, Betsy, an enslaved man named Dean, and Betsy's fiance, Joshua Gardner. So I'm going to really make it difficult for you and ask you right up front, what happened to the Bell family, Darcy, in that tiny hamlet of Adams, Tennessee, around 1817 to 1821?
Well, I'm going to say maybe influenced by evil spirits or witchcraft. Probably died there. I don't know if they necessarily died anywhere else, but my impression is haunting.
Okay. Well, some pretty weird things began happening to the family and appearing to the family, and John Sr. was the first eyewitness. He supposedly saw a strange dog-like creature with a rabbit's head. He took a shot at it, but it disappeared. That evening, the family began hearing the sounds of something beating on the outside of their log farmhouse. The Bells raced outside several times in vain attempts to catch the culprit and to understand the origins of these odd sounds. They failed to find any cause. As time went on, the family began experiencing more inexplicable noises. The children grew fearful, waking in screaming terror because they heard rats chewing on their bedposts. Days later, the kids woke shocked and petrified because something or someone ripped off their sheets. Soon, everyone was on the edge from fear and insomnia, slowly being driven mad from the extraordinary sounds of knocking, rapping, and scratching. The queer events continued outside as well. Son Drew spied a weird, extraordinarily sized bird perched nearby, and of course, when he approached it, it flew away. Then the daughter, Betsy, noticed a girl in a green dress swinging from the limb of a nearby oak before she vanished. And lastly, Dean reported being followed by a huge black dog on the evenings he's visited his wife. So what do you think of these bizarre and peculiar activities, Darcy?
Well, I would say the scratching, the noise and stuff like that and the sheet off could be a hallucination of their mind. But that's not what we're going for here, people. What we're talking about is maybe being haunted. Okay. And what they see outside, the dog, again, animals can reappear and after death. So it could be, and obviously girl on this tree, that could indicate someone who lived there prior.
Okay, so are you getting a sense that there are multiple hauntings going on, i.e. multiple entities undertaking the haunting? or
At
there's
least
haunting
four.
going,
At least four.
or entities haunting.
Yes, that's not including the animals.
4 entities, so that's 4 like people. When you say
People.
they aren't animals, what are they?
Oh no, there's animals as
Okay.
well, but I'm saying 4 people that are doing the scratching, the knocking, the sheep pulling. 4
Oh,
people who have
okay.
died.
Where do you get that?
That's what I'm hearing.
You're hearing someone say there are 4 people?
Yep.
Your guides are telling you that.
Yeah. And then the animals, a dog, a cat. I don't know if it's a rat though. I do see a bear.
Oh,
And I also get, I'm thinking it might be somewhere where they get deer, elk, something, with racks that can scrape along the side of the house.
wow, you're getting all that. That's very cool. Well, as I said, my pictures are pretty bad today, but your ability to connect to our stories from the merest bits of evidence always astounds me. So let's look at photo number 3, the first photo of someone. Have a look at it. Tell me what you see and experience.
Was this a rendering opposed to a photo?
Yes, I call it a photo because I've taken a picture of it, but it is a rendering. Exactly. It's a woodcut, black and white. And what do you see, Darcy?
Well, there's a person in the yard with the dog.
Wait a second. Wait. In general, what do you see? What's there?
Oh, in general, there's a house, a log house.
Okay, great. I see no person and a dog.
Really?
Really? I mean, really, where are they?
Right there.
Right there.
Right about there.
Okay. I see squiggles in black and white. So you could see you form that into a person and a dog.
Yep, there's a person and a dog. There's a cougar. There's a couple of small animals. I would have said Santa was visiting because right up here looks like Santa in a sled.
Oh yeah, coming out. Looks like it's coming out of the chimney almost, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the air, the exhaust from the chimney.
Yeah.
Wow, you see a lot more than I do. I see a farmhouse log, 2 stories with a nice big porch on the front.
Yep.
And a huge fireplace, it looks like, on both ends.
Mm-hmm. And a deer on the porch, on top of the porch, knocking on the window.
Black bit that's there to the window on the left.
Yes.
You see that as a deer. I see that as just, I don't know what, sketched black, nothing. Wow.
And what's interesting is there's an old-fashioned image of a vehicle. There's 2 of them, actually. One's a 1950 Ford, which doesn't fit in this time frame.
Right.
Okay. And the other one looks like a hearse.
Good
So
grief.
I'd be interested to know whether or not this property was used for burial.
Well, we'll get to that possibility. What I'm astounded at is how you're able to interpret of what's happening in this image. And it's interesting. Go ahead.
Okay. In the tree that's to the left of the house,
Yes.
if you actually look at that white centerpiece, it looks like a girl standing in the center of the tree.
Wow, you have a much better vivid imagination than I do. I mean, I'll look at, I can see white there, and I can imagine I know where you're looking, and I can sort of say, okay, that could be a human form, but really, I just see little blobs of white here and there.
No, and she's reflected on the ground too. So
she is reflected on the ground. Well, that white swatch is reflected on the ground. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's interesting. What I'm amazed because you're naming off creatures that presumably would have been around there in 1817.
Yeah.
But then you're naming off a car that wouldn't be around there in 1817. So have you had that happen before where you get different time eras coming up?
No.
Wow, I wonder where that's coming from.
I don't know, but when I see you on Sunday, I'll make sure I can draw that for you.
Yes, that would be very cool because then we could put it up as part of our images. Okay, well, that's an awful lot of information from that little black and white sketch. Thank you. Well, What do you think? Are you getting any more sense of the Bell family and what they're going through based on this sketch?
Well, given everything you said, like the haunting, the interference by spirit, negative spirit, it makes me feel like they didn't live here originally. They moved into it. And because they moved into it, they inherited whoever left their energy.
Okay. Yep. That's probably right. They did come from somewhere else and come into this location. We are witnessing one of the strangest of supernatural hauntings occurrences, I think. It's a malevolent, vengeful spirit. Usually targets a family and creating havoc with physical and psychological terror, and it's generally called a poltergeist. So the folklore of this Bell family's history is that they were haunted by a poltergeist. What do you think of that?
Well, yes, there are such things as ghosts that like to play havoc with people, but you also have to be susceptible to it. Okay. You really got to believe that there's evil out there. I would have just told them to bug off. Okay. Obviously, very Christian or religious type family. And so for them, there's an answer for it. So having an exorcism or something like that. But I don't feel like they actually reached out to the church to get that kind of help.
I don't know if they did or not. But what I'm wondering is, what do you think of the idea that of a poltergeist in general? What do you think of the? Let's talk about that. I was thinking we would consider that our listener's question, but we might as well talk about it now because it's right timely. What do you think about this idea of a poltergeist, of energy or something that can be mean and nasty and do things?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. It can happen, but I don't like using the word poltergeist because it gives them too much authority. As a ghost, they're dead like everyone else. It's our energy that attracts them. So obviously something about this family attracted this energy. And the next thing is that your responsibility is to tell it to shove off.
Well, I'm going to take you to the first part of your comment there. The attraction, that's a really interesting comment because, as you know, there seems to be always one individual that's being targeted in a poltergeist situation, or one or two, and they're generally younger.
Yes.
And there's generally a lot of distress or disturbing things happening with the family, maybe a lot of anxiety or a lot of pressure or stress going on. Would you agree that that's sort of seems to be the common circumstances that result in possibly having a poltergeist appear?
That is the common, that there's a stress factor that will work its way in.
Okay, so then what is the point of this entity doing this?
It has free reign. No one's telling it to back off. So it can do whatever it wants. Maybe it has unfinished business here and it wants to attract the attention of, hey, you need to look into this, and no one's hearing it say what it's want. Now, I know it's a lady. Okay.
Okay.
I know that this was her land at one time. So maybe she's trying to push the people out of her home. You know, this is mine. Get lost. And I've seen that happen.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, have you actually seen literally activity of a poltergeist?
Oh, absolutely. As a kid, they used to be around all the time. I didn't know the difference. I just thought it was another ghost. But growing up and learning more about it, yes, there is a difference.
So what, if I can ask, what sorts of things did you witness?
Crosses spinning on the wall, pictures flying off the wall, windows coming open, and, you know, like all that type of stuff, doors slamming.
And that is as a result of a dead entity feeding into this kind of extraordinary and energy happening. It's somehow able to harness that energy and do stuff with it?
Yes. And normally, like I said, it's someone too on the other side that feels like they got unfinished business. This is their property, their home. What are you doing in it? A lot of people can't hear anything, but people who are sensitive or may just not quite fit into society, they'll be more prone to hearing it.
Well, then what's the difference between someone who's haunting, and someone who's someone? I mean, I know it's not a someone, but anyway, someone who's a poltergeist.
They're really the terminology for me. For other people, poltergeist is something that's evil, needs to be contained. Someone who's haunting is someone who just wants to be recognized. But to me, they're the same.
Okay, they're the same, but they are expressing themselves differently because one is tackling
anger. Yeah, one is anger and one is just there.
Oh.
Like when I moved into this apartment, my cousin brought me up to see it. And we walked through the house and we walked out and it was dark. And I said to her, "What, you thought I wasn't going to see the guy who's hanging out in the house?" And she went, "Well, I was sort of hoping you wouldn't." So I really had to think because he was a little on the angry side. So for me to come in here, I had to do some talking, some rearranging, some explanation, and then I kicked him out.
Wow. And did you, when you first entered it, protect yourself with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Thing? Okay.
I never go into anything without protecting myself nowadays.
Okay. And when you came into your apartment, you actually experienced a male haunting?
Yeah, he was standing in the corner by the closet. You walk through his energy and it's like hairs on the back of your neck standing up.
You walked through his energy?
Yeah.
Was that something that they don't mind, or they get ticked off somebody walks through them?
Not happy about it, but then he stood in the way, so what did he expect?
Wow.
But and that's when you, as a psychic medium or even as a medium, can pick up that kind of energy it's attached to. And he was mad. This was his place. What are you doing here?
How long had he been there?
I didn't really ask him.
Oh, okay. And you fairly quickly got him out?
I would say it took me a good 3 months.
3 months you had to live with this guy, angry, haunting guy?
Yep. Every light in the place was on.
Oh yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah. You didn't want to go to sleep in the dark.
Yep.
Wow. Well, so why did you take the apartment then?
Because it was cheap rent.
Do you think that was why? That people had a bad feeling when they went into the apartment?
Most people wouldn't have, but given the family history, yeah, I would. My daughter would have.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, as part of that, the idea that the poltergeist, they typically, it seems, are, disruptive. They move stuff. You can make strange noises. They, as you say, lift windows up and down and close doors and spin things. And you say you've actually seen and witnessed that in your life.
Yes, I have.
Wow. When that happens, let's say, for example, the door closes or the window goes up and down. Are you seeing anything other than literally the window going up and down? Are you getting a sense of a lightning bolt of energy or a person pushing the window up and down or what?
Nope. I just see the window going up and down, the spinning, and I normally go, not impressed.
You try to shut them down.
Yeah.
And what's the reaction?
They try a little harder, but fear breeds more fear. So it is important to try to keep calm.
Right. Okay. And what about this idea that a poltergeist targets an individual or a couple of individuals, generally younger? What is that? Do you agree with that? And what's that about?
I think depending on the person and their mental state, yes, they will target. If there's already a fracture in their mental state, then, or their emotional state, then yes, they become a live target. But it's not to everyone. It's there's an energy. I've talked about it before. We have our chakras, and there's an energy field around us. And so I hate using the word poltergeist, but a ghost, a poltergeist, an entity will see a certain energy, and that's what they're drawn to.
Okay, so I guess it can make some sense that often the target from which they're drawing the energy could be an adolescent, because of course that's the most tumultuous time of one's life. A lot of energy, a lot of emotion, a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, a lot of discontent, feeling alienated from your family, that kind of stuff. So they're kind of like a little hotbed for someone who's ticked off and wants to act out.
They can be, yes.
Wow. It's kind of, I don't know if I want to see a cross spinning on a wall, or a window going up and down, or a door opening and closing, and recognizing that it's not the wind or something. I think I would be having a hard time keeping calm.
Yeah, most people do.
Okay. All right. Well, of course, mainstream science would say this is all hooey, right? That there are scientific reasons for it. There are fact-based reasons for this stuff happening. I don't know what and how they can prove or disprove these things happening, but certainly, it's not commonly accepted that the poltergeist exists.
Yes.
Right. But in this instance, this family, the Bell family, was very much tormented by an entity, perhaps multiple entities, as you have said. And now that we've talked about the entity, you indicate that it's a female. You're correct. I'm going to let you look at the next photograph, which is of one of the daughters. And I think, again, she might be the target because we're not sure age, but she's youngish. Pretty bad image there, but her name is Betsy. What do you think in photo number 4? You get a sense of anything from that?
Yep, I would say that Betsy was the target, and there seems to be fracture. It actually almost feels as though she may have a little bit of disassociation to reality.
Oh, okay.
But even more open for a spirit, because what you can't see, but I can, is the lady on her chest. That's why I said it was a lady.
She's got a lady on her chest.
Yeah, again, make sure I have my iPad with you and me, and I'll circle it for you so you can see it.
Wow. So do you think Betsy herself has a sense of a weight on her chest, or just a sense of something on top of, literally on top of her?
Both.
Really? God, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, the anxiety would really get to her.
Yeah. Well, part of the manifestations of this entity, as I mentioned earlier, gnawing on the beds. This is the sound of gnawing. Invisible dogs fighting. Sheets, of course, being ripped off off the sleeping children. This escalated in physical violence, Darcy, towards this youngest daughter, Betsy. She suffered being slapped, pinched, having her hair pulled, stuck with pins. She often had welts on her skin and handprints on her face. So is that real?
It can be, yes.
But where's it coming from? You literally mean there's some energy going to slap her face?
If spirit has drawn enough energy together, they can physically attack someone. But my guess is that she may have been doing it to herself, but not realizing it. Okay,
yes. And I think that's possibly something that happens in these instances, right? That it's self-abuse, self-harm, whether they demean to or not. I don't know that I don't think Betsy's faking this.
No.
To get attention. I think in another way, she's actually harming herself, but not recognizing she's doing that.
Yes. And they probably thought it was the devil.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly there. As you said, the timing, 1800s, they're a religious family, of course. Well, she had a tough time. Darcy, what are you showing me there?
You see the fire? See the image of the devil in the fire?
You moved on to the next image. Okay, hang on. Image number 5, which is the image of John Bell carrying this demon to the fire. And you see an image of the devil in the fire.
Yeah.
Well,
right there.
I could say it's all kinds of things in there.
Yeah, no, but that's the devil. 2 horns.
Okay, I kind of see the 2 horns. This is the left-hand side of that image.
Yeah.
Of that fireplace. Okay, maybe a tail. What I noticed, Darcy, is look above it.
Yes.
You got the antlers of a deer, and like you said, something with horns, with antlers.
Yeah.
Rack. So yes, that's the kind of creature you were seeing. So obviously they were out around. I want to talk to you about the this individual, we'll call her a witch because that's what they called her.
Yeah, that's what I would too.
She was dead set against Betsy's engagement to a young man named Joshua Gardner. I don't know why, but she caused a lot of issues regarding that. Why do you think that they would be that specifically targeting something in someone's life?
Because Gardner may be the person who destroyed her life. You know how people intermarry and everything. Gardner may be the very person who destroyed the entity's life, like that lifeline. So why allow them to be happy?
Oh, okay. Well, I was starting to envision if Betsy, a little bit differently, if Betsy was sort of self-harming herself, maybe subconsciously she didn't want to marry Joshua. And so
I don't think she wanted to marry Joshua. I think she was being made to marry Joshua.
Oh, okay.
But I think the entity was aimed at preventing
that marriage
from being together as well.
Okay. Well, John Bell finally told a friend about the family's troubles. They kept it secret for quite some time. Not surprisingly, I guess. The friend and his wife stayed overnight. They're pretty brave souls, in my opinion, and they experienced the same frightening disturbances. They heard noises. They had their sheets ripped off. So that's, that's kind of tries to give credence to truth here, that this is happening with strangers.
Yep.
So the witch is willing to reveal itself to others beyond the family.
Yeah, it's not. There's too many people in the family experiencing the same thing. Therefore, it is something that has tactile ability to it, and doesn't surprise me it revealed itself to other people.
Oh, okay. Well, do you get a sense of what the witch called herself?
Well, I know they called her the Bell Witch, but I want to say the first name that comes into my head is Elizabeth.
Okay, no. They called her Kate. She called herself Kate.
Kate?
Yes. Old Kate's Bat Witch.
Oh, wow.
But Kate was Kate was the name that she called herself.
Okay.
No one knew where she came from. No one got the reference. As you say, maybe she lived there, I don't know, years and years before, but no one seemed to have a link to her, a person named Kate, to that kind of land. She did start becoming more vocal and speaking and offering different kind of reasons for her being there. And one, as you mentioned earlier, was the disturbing of a Native American burial mound. So I don't know that she was Native American. That wasn't indicated, but you had suggested at the beginning that there might have been a disturbance of a burial location. She also began speaking like sermons and having conversations. Like, how does that happen? I mean, were we talking total legend here?
Well, it could be, but that could explain the religious connotation that I thought was connected to this.
Yeah, that definitely the sermons. Supposedly, she could mimic the family's voices and therefore tease them, relentlessly, cause them to do things following a voice which wasn't there. She actually was able to correctly answer some skill testing questions.
Oh, neat.
They challenged her with, for example, a neighbor came in and asked her what heritage was his family. It wasn't obvious from many, many generations before. And she immediately said he was Dutch, and she knew it. So, you wonder, how did that come about?
Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting with this witch is not only did she take after the family per se, but one member of the family she particularly liked. Any idea which one?
Would it be a little boy?
No.
Okay. I would have said she would have liked a little boy, but so did she like his wife?
Yes. She adored his wife. She actually supposedly said that Lucy was the most perfect woman to walk the earth, and that she showered her with fresh fruit. How did she do that? I don't know. And sang hymns. I mean, I kind of can't even get to the hymn part, but imagine, where does the fruit come in? How do you start chucking fruit?
Maybe on an apple tree.
Yeah, maybe, exactly. Okay. And as this witch bestowed such kindness to Lucy, it continued to victimize Betsy and kind of the family in general, but it had one other serious target that she was after. Do you know which individual
Well,
was a
I think
victim?
Dad is part of this.
You're right. She called him Old Jack. His name was John. He suffered the most. Why do you think that? You had a sense of that.
One, I'm going to say maybe his energy reminded her of someone else. Two, he was already fractured. Okay. Is there any chance that she afflicted her energy upon the father because of his character?
Well, she definitely afflicted energy upon him because she caused him afflictions and she cursed him. So he began twitching. He'd never done that before, uncontrollably. He started to have difficulty swallowing. He had paralysis of the mouth. He started to become quite ill. Poor guy. He was definitely being targeted by her. So why would she have such a serious hate on for him?
His character. Something about his character.
So you think he had a good character and she was upset about it or not?
No. She wouldn't have been upset if you have to look to how she worshiped Lucy as a good person to walk on the earth, but obviously something about the father and Betsy made her not consider them worthy of that same praise.
Oh, okay. So she was disappointed in the father and Betsy.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting to have these opinions of people?
Oh, yeah. That's nothing unusual.
Oh, wow. Well, this haunting and poltergeist activity and, malevolent spirit hung about for several years. And supposedly, the famous, at the time, a general, but later became president, Andrew Jackson, arrived with his entourage to have a look. Now, John Bell fought earlier with Andrew Jackson, so kind of knew the guy, I guess. The accompanying wagon with Andrew Jackson and his entourage became stuck in the ground as it approached the Bell property and could not be moved.
Wow.
Horses couldn't pull it, men couldn't pull it, oxen couldn't pull it. It was stuck. And supposedly Jackson was heard to shout, "By the eternal, boys, it must be the Bell Witch." At that moment, a disembodied female voice said they could now proceed. Later, when they got themselves set up on the property, on the farms, and they pitched their tents, and they were talking around the fire, one of the Jackson's men teased the spirit, claiming that he had a silver bullet and this silver bullet would kill any evil spirit. Suddenly, the man went into convulsions and he screamed in agony, and he had a horrendous time that evening. The men all wanted to leave, and they finally did the next day. And some allege that Jackson would later claim, "I'd rather fight the British in New Orleans than fight the Bell Witch." What do you think of that?
I could believe that because at least those are physical. She's not.
That's right. Good point. Yes. Good point. You can't really fight something you can't see, or at least they wouldn't have thought so. Okay, well then, in our little image number 5 of John Bell supposedly dragging an entity towards the fire, do you get anything else other than the devil being in the fire?
No.
I don't think John Bell ever was able to do that, obviously.
No.
And he became too ill anyway. So, okay, but you do notice a devil in the fire. What does that mean to you?
That the devil may have had a little play. As a witch, she would have, then it was big into conjuring the devil. Oh, it's interesting. Moses is standing next to the fireplace.
Moses?
Yeah.
You mean like the prophet Moses?
Yep.
The 10 Commandments Moses?
Yep.
You mean on the far right corner of that? Like there's a panel? Oh, yeah. The panel, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
right there.
Okay. It's amazing, Darcy. When you actually tell me and I look at it, I can actually see a little head, someone in robes, right?
Yeah.
Like a monk or something. Now, I can envision that. Okay, you've told me, and now I'm going to say, okay, I agree with you. That could be some representation of something. But where do you get Moses?
The long hair, the staff, the beard, and all I heard was Moses.
That cheating. You hear the Moses word.
Yeah.
Wow, you're getting an awful lot from this little sketch. So just out of curiosity, what the hell, I'm going to go down this line. Does Moses have anything to do with the devil or protecting against the devil or being hurt by the devil?
Protecting.
Protecting.
Yeah.
Moses is protecting the Bell family, would you say?
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, why?
Well, they definitely need it.
But of all the historical biblical figures, Moses?
Yeah. Why not?
Well, that's very cool. There was no mention of Moses, but I think that's cool that you've discovered Moses and the devil. I love it. Okay, well, as you can imagine, perhaps, John wasn't successful in destroying this tormentor. And over the next few months, his health failed even further.
Yeah.
He became housebound, weak, and suffered from more seizures, poor guy. So the witch actually physically tormented him in other ways. She snatched off his shoes while he was walking. So he tripped and fell and hurt himself. He had the same kind of welts on his skin and face that Betsy had from some kind of physical slapping. Do you think that John was doing that to himself? The way you thought Betsy might be?
I would say there's a possibility of it, yes.
Why would he do that?
Well, he might not have control of what he's doing.
Okay.
Same with Betsy. They might not have been control. If they're in a psychotic state, they can do stuff and they won't realize they're doing it.
Okay, and if they're in a psychotic state, then they're not really being controlled by a witch. They're being
Well, who
controlled,
says?
or are they?
Yeah, no, I mean, I could put it down to being controlled by an entity.
Can you? Okay, so you're envisioning that they're in some kind of state. Their own hand slaps their face, but
Yeah.
it's someone else's energy causing the slap.
Yes.
I dig it. Finally, I get it. Okay, so what happened to John Bell?
I would have said he died.
Poor old dude, he died. Have a look at our second last pick, which is number 6. This is the scene of John Bell's death. Now, it's going to be, until I tell you what happens here, you're going to wonder what's going on in the foreground. It looks to me in the foreground, there are men surrounding a little creature of some sort.
Well, it looks like a black cat.
Exactly. It is a black cat. And there's John in the background in his deathbed. Now, why do you think they're surrounding that black cat?
Because they're waiting for the entity to come out and go into the black cat so they can get rid of the cat.
Good idea, but not what they found. What they found, Darcy, was supposedly a vial of strange black liquid in the nearby cupboard to John's bed.
Oh.
They brought it out and they gave 2 drops to their lovely black cat. Unfortunately, the poor cat leapt into the air, flipped over, and crashed down dead. So I think this image is them giving the poor cat the 2 drops.
Okay, animal cruelty.
Exactly, animal cruelty. We don't like that. So somebody poisoned John Bell is the theory, and that somebody's poison was put upon the cat.
Oh.
What do you?
Well, that could explain some of it's like, because I keep hearing psychotic breaks, and if they were taking poison, that would explain it.
Yes, that would. Do you think it's possible that they were feeding him little bits of poison before, like some people give people arsenic over time, or a dose?
But then they would have been giving it to Betsy as well.
Possibly. I don't know. There you go. I don't know. But that's the theory, was he died of poisoning, and they proved it by giving this stuff to the cat. Of course, they can't prove that John Bell had the stuff in the system.
That's right.
Well, John Bell's funeral was one of the largest ever heard in the county. And when the mourners began leaving, the witch took to singing and laughing outside the church.
Okay.
So again, she was showing off to people well beyond John Bell.
Yeah, no kidding. She
Is
definitely wanted to be known.
Yeah, she definitely wanted to be known. After his death, it seems, she appeared to go on light duties. She focused mostly on Betsy and her fiance. She had a real thing about that. She followed the pair wherever they went, nagged them, laughing, cursing, and repeatedly warned Betsy off Joshua as often as she could. And finally, in 1821, Betsy nixed the engagement, much to the Bell Witch's delight. So I take it that, as you had said, in her heart of hearts, Betsy didn't really want to marry this guy. Maybe this was part of her torment, Darcy.
Yeah.
The witch, the entity, whatever the energy to happen. she got out of marrying the guy I think she didn't want to marry. And that worked well for her.
I agree.
Do you think that's why the witch came in the first place?
Could have been. I know the witch didn't like him, so.
Yeah, that's just striking me now. If we go this idea of a younger person in torment, creating a lot of excessive energy, negative energy, and somebody who's haunting in that area, grabbing onto that energy and taking advantage of it, and she unconsciously, subconsciously using that to get what she wanted, which was to get out of the engagement.
Yes.
Wow. So the Bell Witch was really brought on to stop Betsy from having to marry someone she didn't want to marry. That's my theory.
I can actually confirm that would be a good theory.
Oh, good. Finally, I've got something that matches yours. Cool. Well, the witch said she was going to disappear, but would come back in 7 years. And damn it, if she didn't. 7 years, she disappeared, and 7 years later, she reappeared to Lucy and 2 sons still on the farm. But the Bells now did what you would have recommended they did in the beginning. They ignored her, and she went away.
Yeah.
So my theory of Betsy being the focus works well when Betsy's around, but how does it work when Betsy's not around?
Because if they ignored her and she went away, that means Betsy wasn't there. So there was no need. Maybe she was just doing a checkup, like a good witch.
But where does she get the energy to be a poltergeist in that?
Oh, no, you can still have the energy as a ghost to show up. Like you think of a ghost or poltergeist, it's energy, it's vibration, and it's like turning my light on in the kitchen and still having a living room light on, but turning off the living room light but the kitchen light. So a poltergeist or a ghost can show up anywhere and any time. But if there's nothing there to feed off of, they're not going to stick around.
The feeding off, that's important. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying to put myself into the place of that family. 1800s, very religious, not sophisticated, not educated.
Yeah.
I would think I'd be freaking terrified.
Oh, they probably were.
Yeah, it's like, I know you've experienced this stuff and perhaps are hopefully a little more able to control it in your own self and handle it. But I can't imagine what it's like to have that going on for 2 or 3 years, even if it's partially created by Betsy. It's just the whole thing, the whole family. It must have been so difficult for them. You'd be distraught. I would think it'd be really hard to live.
It would be.
So if they wanted to deal with it, now you talk about, I've seen, there's famous movies about poltergeists. We've got Amityville, a couple of things in England, around the world. And if you see the movies, they have the classic, the steps involved in investigating, in assessing the situation and gathering data and interviewing witnesses and getting corroboration and checking your witnesses out and digging into the background and maybe the background of the location, all that kind of stuff. And then you, of course, try to video it or photograph stuff and have sound and use all those stupid tools that you don't need that they put on TV. Is that the sort of stuff you think would be necessary to handle this entity if it were happening now?
No, you could just sit and talk to it. You can have a rational conversation.
But are you conversing just to the air, Darcy? Are you hearing something in your head?
Well, for me, it's a little of everything. It's the hearing, the feeling, the smell, the actual words. Like, I hear music at night and we don't have any music on in our house. And it's not the neighbor, because I'm in my bedroom and I'm about to go to sleep when I hear jazz music.
Oh, really?
So I could fight it, but I allow it to help me go to sleep. I'll hear people having a conversation in a British accent, and it's like, oh my God, could you guys tone it down so I can sleep? So
I don't know how to survive.
It's just every day.
Well, if it were me, let's say could I have a conversation with this entity? Or I need someone like you, wouldn't I? I couldn't do it by myself.
No, you could put a cup of tea down for each of you or whatever your poison is. And you can just sit down and say, okay, and address the empty chair.
And how would the empty chair respond to me to have a conversation?
You'd feel the energy.
Okay, when you say that, I'd feel the energy. What am I feeling something hot, cold, tingly?
Like goosebumps.
Like goosebumps. Okay. So let's say I'm having the conversation, why are you here? Goosebumps. I feel a bit afraid. Okay, you're upset. Goosebumps. I get in the fact you're upset. Why are you upset? Goosebumps. I can't get, to specifics from goosebumps. What do I do?
Well, you could ask them to give you a message in the next week and the message can come by phone, by person, by radio, by paper, by internet, by TV, and you could just ask them to give you a message so that you can help.
Well, what would I expect the message to be in, or
wouldn't? No, that's the thing. You've got to be open to the idea the message can come to you. Okay.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to think of something. Like walking out of your house and all of a sudden a bird swoops down in front of you and just stops and looks at you for a minute. Depending on the bird, depends on the message.
Okay. Let's take that. Let's carry that along. I'm going outside my door and a hummingbird, which we have around here, flips and drops right in front of me and hovers for a couple of seconds looking right at me and then takes off.
Okay.
Ooh.
For me, it could be that, you're not planting properly in the spring. You're not supplying the nutrients to the ground for that hummingbird to live.
If it had been an owl, would you say the same thing?
Then you're lacking knowledge.
Oh, so birds have for you specific reason, like they mean something. They have some kind of relevance.
Yes.
Not hummingbird, but the hummingbird relates to something. An owl relates to something.
Absolutely.
Okay, and what if I walked out and suddenly there was a thunderstorm? Would that
I'd go back in the house and put my umbrella away.
So that wouldn't be a sign?
Well, no, that would be a sign. It could be that something tremendous happened to the people or the person, that maybe they were killed in a violent way.
Okay, let's take that. So I come back in. I've got that message. Something, I think, happened to them, but I kind of got that before from my goosebumps. So how do I carry that further? And I don't mean to be facetious here, but how do I actually carry that further so I can help them specifically?
By telling them they can release the negative energy, that they don't need to cause turmoil. They don't need to be in turmoil, that there's love out there. If they're willing to open and see the expansion of the glow of white light around them, inside of them and outside of them, then they can move on. That they don't have to stay here. What's in the past is done.
That's nice. That's a good statement, an excellent group of statements, I guess. So that would be my encouraging them to allow them to let it go. Is that what it amounts to?
Yes.
And that there's something better once
for
you
them.
let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something better for them to go to.
Right. They're going to gain. Do you think they are aware that there's a gain out there and they just don't want to drop it? They're just holding on to that anger too much?
Depends on how violent stuff was around them. Like if you walked outside and thunder and lightning and hail is coming down, then you know that they've probably been cursed with brimstone. Okay. And so some ministers told them they're bad, they're going to hell, and that's how they see it. Okay. Maybe you wouldn't be able to have the kind of conversation I could.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But you know what's amazing, Darcy? I'm sitting here, I'm in my kitchen. I'm looking out towards the backyard, and it's dark out. And I'm going to see if I can do this. I can get rid of the photos for a second. I have an artwork that hangs off a staff, and on it, I have little fairy lights. I'm just going to switch my camera here, and I'm going to see if I can show you. I'm going to turn the light off so you can see this, Darcy, because something pretty cool happened. Damn, hang on. Turn that light off. Okay, now we're in the dark.
Yes,
okay.
We are.
Okay, can you see that sort of hook?
Yeah.
Okay, that is a large black staff with a piece of art that I've made hanging off at a big wheel. Okay, it's covered in those little fairy lights.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were talking to me about a signal, communication, somebody would say something to me as you were talking. This is astounding, Darcy. As you were talking, this has never happened before, and I swear it. The lights on that object flashed off and on, and off and on, and off and on 3 times. It doesn't do it now. It's never done it before. They don't flash. They're solid lights.
Yeah.
So what happened there? That's freaky.
This is when I say to you that your dad was sitting there while we were talking, so he wanted to say hello.
Really? You said that before about my dad being here.
Well, your dad's there. He was sitting across from you as we're talking, and it's like, I was going to tell you, and I thought, well, I'll wait till the end and tell you, but since you brought up the flashing, that was like, hello.
Wow. That's astonishing, Darcy. I do say hello to my dad. Yeah, wow. I'd love to have a chance to talk to my dad. I miss him.
You can. All you have to do, you put a picture of him right across from you with his favorite drink and have a conversation.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you. I will do that. That was very freaky. Very cool.
That's nothing.
Well, nothing perhaps to you. To me, as you know, I'm as a skeptic and as unintuitive as a brick. That was just to sit here and watch that go once and then twice. I'm thinking that never does that before. 3 times, as you're saying, you're going to get a message. You'll get a message. Jeez, that's wonderful. Oh, yeah. Happy New Year. That's wonderful. That's a Christmas present I'll never forget.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay.
Now I'll let you read the last photograph if you would. Just as the end of our little story.
Well, it's a plaque for the Bell Witch, and it says, to the north was the farm of John Bell, an early prominent settler from North Carolina. According to legend, his family was harried during the early 19th century by the famous Bell Witch. She kept the household in turmoil, assaulted Bell, and drove off Betsy Bell's suitor. Even Andrew Jackson, who came to investigate, retreated to Nashville after his coach wheels stopped mysteriously. Many visitors to the house saw the furniture crash about them and heard her shriek, sing, and curse.
Ah, cool, eh?
Out of curiosity, because her last name's not Bell, so they just called her the Bell Witch because of the family?
Exactly. Yes, they called it because the family's called the Bells.
Okay.
So, well, there we go, Darcy. We visited Adams, Tennessee. We discussed a lot about poltergeists and spirits, and I had a visit from my dad. Like, that's pretty amazing.
Well, I love it when it happens.
Yeah, well, see, I had no sense of it at all. I know you say to me, oh, he's over your shoulder, and I get no sense of it. So I got a sense of it now.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. That was just excellent.
Well, I've enjoyed myself. It was different again. I like different.
Good.
Thank you for listening to Seeing Dead People, where goosebumps are guaranteed. We would love to hear from you with questions for Darcy about her psychic process or suggestions for other mystifying situations you would like us to investigate. Please shoot us an email to info@radiosydney.ca with Seeing Dead People in the subject line. New episodes air on our website, radiosydney.ca, on the first Saturday of every month. Episodes repeat Saturday nights at 8 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 10 a.m., both Pacific time. All episodes are available as downloadable podcasts at our website or on our YouTube channel Nicola Furlong Mysteries. I'm Dorian Mortis, weirdly keen on seeing dead people. This has been a presentation of Radio Sydney.